Hey guys, project-zodiac here. I'm back with another video, and this is my second Karate Kid movie review in anticipation for the new Karate Kid movie, Karate Kid Legends, which is coming out at the end of this month, and I'm super excited for it. So, if you haven't watched my Karate Kid 1 review, please do so, just because I explain a lot more as to why the series relates to me. I don't want to go into a whole rant for that for this one, but the series is very meaningful and very relatable to me um, in many, many ways. And I talk about those ways in that particular video review. It's a little bit longer, but please go watch it. Also, for right now, I'm not going to go into spoilers. I'm just going to give you guys my quick thoughts on this particular movie, and then I'll go into my in-depth thoughts into the movie where I'll explain a lot more things. So with all that said, if you just want to hear my quick thoughts, is this movie is amazing. I love it just as much as the first one, even though I know a lot of people don't like it as much. And I don't know why, because this movie is a fantastic follow-up. The last movie focused on Daniel, this movie focuses more on Mr. Miyagi. And this movie is not just about a tournament, it's literally about fighting for your life. So it is very tense in some parts and done in kind of a realistic way too. But it doesn't go like extreme, edgy fighting for your life, but still fighting for your life. And uh, it's also something I can relate to. So that is, again, this series is one I can relate to in so many ways. Um, but with all that said, I love this movie. I really recommend you watch it. And what's really cool about it is that it's not set in the US, it's set in Okinawa, which is where Mr. Miyagi is from. So I love that too. It was really, really cool because, well, I don't know too much about Okinawa, but I do know that people do call them Japanese, but I guess uh, technically they're not. Um, but I think that the Japanese are involved with Okinawa. I don't know the whole history. I don't want to say something wrong about that. But so I'm gonna say it like this, and I'm sorry if it is wrong. But the Japanese culture, which I'm including Okinawa into it, I'm sorry if that is wrong. I love the culture and the traditions and a whole lot of things, including martial arts, which I do talk about that in my first Karate Kid video. So please watch that. So the fact that this movie really focuses more on the traditions and the values that Mr. Miyagi was teaching Daniel and how we see where it's from, it's beautiful. It's an amazing extension. So please watch this movie. Now, with all that said, I'm going to go into my in-depth thoughts. I'm going to be a little bit quicker with this one just because, again, a lot of the things I had to say is about relatability to me and why the series is so special, but I said all that in the last movie review. So this movie, The Karate Kid Part 2, why do I like it as much as the original? As I mentioned, it's a lot more serious. It's a lot more real in aspect of how much more serious it is because it is them fighting for their life. So the final fight is a bit more gritty. It is a lot more real. It's a lot more tense than a tournament, and I think that this movie did that perfectly. Um, and even just the build up to that, like Daniel's um conflict with Chosen, I think was his name. Trying to remember, but the bad guy in this movie, the conflict that they have as the movie goes on, it just keeps building and building. And it's not because Daniel was really trying to pick a fight. In fact, he learned from the last movie. He's trying to not pick a fight. Um, and I thought that that was really interesting. And you see him being scared because, you know, the bully is now threatening his life throughout the whole movie. So you do see him being a little scared and, you know, trying to figure things out and trying to avoid him. Um, I love that it handled that aspect as well. The movie itself also does really, really well in developing Mr. Miyagi's character. We get to see someone that he loves romantically, and even Daniel has a new romantic interest, and this one's better than the other one, just because this one, she actually seems to care about Daniel as opposed to the girl, I forgot her name right now, but the girl from the first movie, where, yeah, you can tell that she did worry about Daniel, but I mean, it seems like she kind of just brushes things off aside a bit and doesn't really care to listen to him very often about certain things. Um, so yeah, I think this one was better. So other than the love interest situation as well, um, I think just the fact of Daniel seeing Mr. Miyagi where he's from and Mr. Miyagi having to go back to face a past situation, I thought that that was really interesting because we get to hear about one of Mr. Miyagi's biggest regrets, and then we do find out about the other one in Cobra Kai's last season. Um, but this one was not taking the girl with him when he left Okinawa. So right before I jump into that, I just wanted to say one of the other things that I relate to is about Daniel's prom being terrible. Because I didn't want to go to my proms, but I did go to prom once. And for me, that prom was terrible. So, um, yeah, I went to that prom once and I'm like, yep, not going to the other proms. So, yeah, yeah. No, I relate to Daniel with that too. So that's another thing that I relate with Daniel with, and that's something that I had mentioned that I was going to mention in this video, in the last video. But now going into another thing that I really relate to is in regards to Mr. Miyagi. I talked a lot about that in the last video. It's basically how me and my stepfather are. Um, so if you want more details, again, I know I've said it 100 times, please watch that video. But Mr. Miyagi, we find out more about him in this movie, considering that he left Okinawa when he was 18. And that's when my stepfather left his country as well, when he was around 18 years old. So I think he was 18, if I remember correctly what he told me. And he left by himself, just like Mr. Miyagi did. And when my stepdad told me that when he came back for the first time, it had been like 20 years or so since he left. And everyone was shocked and happy to see him. He had to resolve a lot of things. So yeah. So again, more resemblance between my stepdad and Mr. Miyagi. And another thing that relates, I talked about one thing that relates to me and Daniel in the last movie, which is him getting his car. I explained how that's relatable in that. Again, it involves my stepfather. But another thing that relates to me is that in this movie, Daniel graduated high school and he goes on a trip to Okinawa to help Mr. Miyagi and see more about Mr. Miyagi and the Okinawan culture. And I can relate to that too, because for me, I grew up around my stepfather's culture very, very deeply. But so part of his culture is ingrained into me. So it is a part of my culture. Of course, because I never went to his country, and we would only really be embraced in his culture when we go to like restaurants or family friends' houses. So the dances, the food, or a couple of the food, the more popular ones. So all of that was things, and the music as well, and a couple of other traditional stuff is things that I just grew up with ever since I was very little. So it's kind of similar to Daniel understanding some Okinawan culture before he, for the year or so that he knows Mr. Miyagi before he goes to Okinawa. And, but, not as in depth as me with my stepfather's culture, because again, that was my whole life. But I had never been to my stepfather's country until 2019 when I graduated with my associate's degree. So that was a big celebration because my stepdad really wanted to take me to a different country, specifically to his home country, so I can meet our extended family from there and like to just see it and everything. And so for me, that was special, and it relates me a lot to Mr. Miyagi's because Daniel graduated and he goes to his adoptive stepfather. And I should have explained that in this video. I explained it in the other one. I'm calling Mr. Miyagi Daniel's adoptive father or his stepfather. Now that I'm thinking about it, stepfather would mean that Mr. Miyagi and his mom would have been together. So let's just say adoptive father. Because, yeah, I just realized that. So, because their relationship isn't just of as friends, it's literally a father and son relationship, and it's a very beautifully done one. So for me, Mr. Miyagi is Daniel's adoptive father in a way. So yeah, it relates to me, to Daniel graduating high school, going to his adoptive father country and meeting everyone there and understanding more of the culture. So I relate to that because when I graduated from my associate's degree, that is what happened. In the summer, I went to my stepfather's home country for the first time and understood more about the culture that I wasn't able to understand growing up because, the culture is a little bit more spread out here in the US. So, and, um, and yeah, and then just see the family. So that's another like mirror of it, and another reason why I relate to these movies a lot. And I think that the way that they introduced a lot of the culture about honor and keeping your grudges and, like being insulted if your honor is violated in any way, those are actual, like a lot of Japanese culture. They are very, very focused on honor, very, very focused on, I was going to say responsibility, but that's not the word I'm trying to say. On acknowledgement. I think that's not exactly the word, but it's what I'm trying to get at. Like respect. There we go. Like respecting your elders, respecting an official, respecting the temples. Like they're very, very focused on tradition and respect and honor. So I like that this movie did focus on that, but I also liked that it showed like that even though some things are there by a traditional value, they shouldn't be, because we see Mr. Miyagi's father call him, and basically Mr. Miyagi's best friend, who's basically his brother, to when his dad is dying, so he calls both of them there. And right as he dies, he joins Mr. Miyagi and his friend's hands. Sato, I think, was his name. To kind of just tell them like, you two, please stop being idiots. Yes, I understand that your honor, to Sato, like kind of like, yes, I understand that your honor, you felt like it was impacted, but Mr. Miyagi had an actual valid reason, and he was right for why he left the country, because you wanted to kill him because he liked that girl and you felt that your honor was insulted. And it kind of just shows how people do super messed up, dark things for the stupidest reasons. And, it's interesting to see that. So it shows like how as we grow, yes, we make our mistakes and we have to fix our mistakes. And sometimes we are so caught up in the past that we can't see that we were wrong and that we needed to change that. And that's what Sato realizes at the end of this movie, that he had been holding on to this grudge, this stupid, pointless grudge, for no reason, against his best friend, that it made his best friend leave the country because his best friend did not want to fight and either kill him or be killed. So, what I'm trying to say is the movie shows that yes, some traditions are not okay and are very stupid and needs to be dialed back. And I guess Mr. Miyagi's dad realized that later after he left. From dialogues we hear Mr. Miyagi, because he ends up telling the girl that Mr. Miyagi likes at some point after Mr. Miyagi left that he understands now why Mr. Miyagi left and that he was right to do so, because then his dad understood that that particular tradition of being so uptight with your honor and any little thing can insult it and then it needs to be paid in a certain violent way, that it's stupid. That you can you can respect your honor and apologize and understand things and get it fixed that way. His dad understood that, but that's why when he was dying, he wanted to see both of them to kind of try to get Sato to understand that. But Sato didn't care until the end of the movie. So Sato shows, and then he tells his nephew, who tries to kill Daniel for stupid reasons, that there is no point in holding on to that particular grudge, and that he was wrong to do so, and that that particular tradition needs to be, changed. But what I also like is that, yes, again, it shows that some traditions need to be changed because they're not good for anyone. However, some traditions should be maintained. For example, we see Daniel with the love interest in this movie doing a tea ceremony, and that's where they're kind of professing the love for each other. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful scene. And I think that that's a tradition that's like, it's okay to stay, I don't think that there's any harm in it. If they want to do the tradition that way, then go ahead. Because it's something symbolic for them, that they want to represent their love. And I think that that's a nice tradition to do. Again, if it's something that's good, polite, focused on love and on care and on well-being, then I think it's a tradition that is okay, if you want to do the tradition or not. So that tea ceremony was beautiful. I loved it. And again, it really shows how much more caring she is compared to the first girl, because she really wanted to focus on being with Daniel, to telling Daniel how much she loves her. I think that that's the best way to explain it. That she wanted to do this very loving ceremony with him. And I think that that was beautiful. And another very beautiful thing is when Daniel is getting ready to leave, she is throwing rice in the sand. Again, a lot of people, especially in the West, might think, why she's throwing rice, and then she explains that it's offerings to their gods, that the sailors would come home alive. So she was doing that ancient traditional ceremony. Okay, that's fine. And it's a beautiful thing because it's her just trying to represent how she's upset, and her trying to kind of send a prayer that Daniel can come back and that he'll be okay. And again, it's a nice tradition. It's loving, it's caring. I don't think that there is anything wrong with it. So so that's what I mean. I love that this movie shows that some traditions absolutely gotta change, and then other traditions can definitely 100% stay, and they can still be done, and they can be so beautiful. So all of these things, it's things that kind of go in together. So and that speaks even for modern times. Really, it does. So the point that I'm trying to make is that this movie really focuses on all of that, and I love it. And yes, the whole celebration and the whole festivals that we see, it's so good. And I love that this movie really focuses on that because, sorry, because normally when a movie goes to a country, sorry, um, a movie goes to a different country and they don't really take advantage of the culture of that country. They just have it be as a background. And it's like, okay, what was the point of going to this country to film this thing? I know that I know they didn't go to actually Okinawa. I think the Okinawa stuff was filmed in Hawaii. But point is, in the movie, like, why would you go to that country just to be in a hideout or to just walk around in the streets? Why not show us you exploring the culture, taking advantage of being in that country, of being in that place? Even if you're not filming in the actual place, in the characters' world, they're in that place. So a lot of movies do not do that. This movie did. It really makes you feel like you're in Okinawa. It really makes you feel like you're understanding their values more, understanding their culture more. And I think that that is masterfully done here and done so right and so well. So yeah, guys, I love this movie. It is so good. It really furthers Daniel and Miss Miyagi's relationship, and again makes them even more father and son. And it just does everything so well. So yeah, I love this movie. Let me know what you think of The Karate Kid Part 2 and which Karate Kid is your favorite. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. With all that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please watch my other Karate Kid videos. They're gonna be on a playlist, all for Karate Kid in the chronological order of the series. With all that said, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good night.